Welcome, one and all, to episode 34 of WAM, where this week, before we get started, I just want to reveal the very first ape-based feminist movement and club held by Mr. Kong. Take it away. Oh, all right. Well, no, it's okay. Let's move on. It's fine. Keep put him in the room. Put him in the room. Welcome to WAM.
Wait, did Kong just come in?
Yeah. Kong just left. He just
I missed him.
No, it always happens. It's all right. Y'all just never seem to meet up. It's weird.
I think he avoids me.
Welcome to WAM, episode 34. This week we watched Kong Skull Island. But 2017, I think, 2019.
Yeah, I think it was 2017. It was right when sort of blockbusters were in a really good heyday. We wanted to watch Shin Godzilla, not Shin Godzilla. We wanted to watch
Godzilla Minus One.
Wanted to watch Godzilla Minus One, and then because it won the Oscar, but then that's not available anywhere right now. Then we're like, okay, we'll watch Shin Godzilla, and then I thought, well, what about Monkey? And
Monkey was a lot cooler. But just for a little, like a basic kind of plot summary of this movie. So we have this island called Skull Island that's hidden by storms. We have John Goodman come in and he tries to get, he's part of this big organization that hunts down these huge monsters. And he's trying to get a senator to give him like funding and a military escort to go to this island and check it out and like survey it is what he's telling them. So they get to the island, they're attacked by Kong immediately, and then they crash and everything, and they get some help from the locals, and then they discover this World War II veteran who's been stuck on the island for decades since the war, who's really, really sick with a katana, by the way. But the group is split up, they regroup, they meet a bunch of different monsters through the movie. We see the kind of main antagonist is the skull crawlers, which are these big lizard-like kind of creatures with two legs that are just massive. And
love that guy.
And so our two groups eventually meet up. They make their escape on this DIY built boat that World War II veteran and his friend had built. They fight Kong. They take him down. Kong gets back up, fights more skull crawlers, and then they have to race the clock through the whole movie to get to the north side of the island to safety, where they're going to be getting a resupply in 3 days. And that's kind of our timeline.
Yeah, time crunch on it.
Yeah.
Now,
but that's a really watered down version of what happened to this movie. There was a lot of action and a lot of really cool monsters that we'll get into, I'm sure. But that's synopsis.
Well, I will say, like, we pretend like that was a watered down version of the plot, but the plot is extremely simple when you really think about it. We have a very clear objective here when it comes to what drives the story. The difference is that this story is really, I wouldn't say really character driven, but it's full of characters, and with each character has a want and has like dynamics with each other. So really it's like, okay, well, we're on sort of this walking journey, and throughout this walking journey, you're going to face challenges and you're going to develop as characters more, because there has to be at least 15 characters in this movie.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of, there was a lot of cannon fodder in this movie. Like, I'll say, when we get to the island, we have this whole platoon of army soldiers led by Nick Fury. And like by the end of it, I'll say at the start, we have probably 20 something people. Yeah. By the end of it, we have maybe 4 or 5 total.
Well, we have spoilers. We have the two losers, our two like almost protagonists that really do basically nothing.
Whatever, Loki and
Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson.
Yeah, and Brie Larson.
We have 3 platoon members. We have the 2 scientists. They both survived, right? Not John Goodman, but his adversaries.
Yeah, the black guy and the uncharacterized Asian girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have John C. Reilly, the World War II veteran. And I think that's our entire list.
Yeah. That is our whole list. I mean, halfway through the movie, we we kind of noticed that there were probably a good, like, I'll say 16 people still left in the groups when they fully like come together again.
Yeah.
And within the next 5 minutes, they were all completely gone, nameless characters, no personalization.
Mhm.
At the most, it was like they had army guy personality, but that was kind of it.
Yeah.
With
There
exception to one guy, Cole, who we'll talk about when we get to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's so
Yeah.
weird because even though there's so many nameless people that die, there are people that are essential to the plot that do bite the bullet to where when I watched this, I was really thinking, okay, I really do think anyone can die except for Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson.
Yeah,
Um,
they were fine. They really didn't have any
yeah.
sort of like moment in this movie where they were in mortal danger or anything. They
Yeah.
they were all right.
The biggest thing was
They were kind of near the danger.
they have a very specific I have a very specific set of skills, but they're so specialized in why they're there. Brie Larson, she's specifically a war photographer who's using this to sort of just like be the first one on this island. She wants to sort of win something from doing this. Her goal
Yeah.
was quite literally to win the Pulitzer Prize for her photography.
Yeah,
And
she
then
wants fame. Big monkey.
and then you have Tom Hiddleston, who was introduced as a guide, a jungle guide of sorts, who also served in Vietnam and decided to stay.
He's like a gun for hire that they frame him as in the movie. And, John Goodman said this line, no man goes to war unless he's looking for something. And if you're still here, you haven't found it yet. And they have that
So
whole
good.
setup where like he really has to like find something in himself when he goes on this journey. And it goes nowhere. They absolutely drop it completely at the beginning. There's almost no characterization to Tom Hiddleston, almost zero to Brie Larson, besides that she never gets the fucking good shot. She takes so many pictures of like the indigenous tribe they find on the island and like
That
some
was well
nature
done.
stuff. Kong, no pictures. Big
No.
fucking giant bamboo spider, no pictures. Like stupid as fuck.
It infuriated me so bad because it's not even like, oh, she fucked up and it's badly framed and it like is blurry so nobody's gonna look. It's quite literally she never tried.
She only tries when they like don't have dialogue to say, so they just have her pull her camera up.
I thought when she did it with the indigenous tribes, it actually looked very interesting.
Yeah,
But
that was good because it was actual characterization. We could see her having fun with the
Yeah.
people. But like any other point, it wasn't. It was just, oh, that's neat.
had a bit where John Goodman's character was taking video of it, just like on a standard, maybe 16 millimeter small camera.
Mhm.
And that's really cool to see because that's like, oh, we're focused on documenting this thing. So why didn't you tell the girl you brought in photography?
Yeah, so if we're just gonna document, why are we dropping fucking huge ass bombs to find the monkey? I don't think it would have been an issue to find the monkey. He's fucking huge. Like if he lays down, he's definitely at least like a 16th of the island. Like
Well,
there's no fucking way they missed the monkey.
I do think John Goodman's goal throughout this was not to document. He said that when he was a child, he was on a ship that was destroyed by a monster. I do believe that's a reference somewhere in the MonsterVerse about Godzilla. Godzilla. That's something in there. I want to watch the MonsterVerse after seeing this because it was so much fun.
I do, but then this has put too good a taste in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm scared to watch the other ones.
You're real. Yeah. So
Man.
John Goodman's whole thing is fuck you. His whole thing is, okay, I had childhood trauma, so we're all gonna go to this island and kill a thing.
So we're all gonna get trauma because I did. And when we get into that scene where all the army men get completely murdered by King Kong in their helicopters and they first get onto the island, like Samuel Jackson, after seeing his whole platoon wiped out and everything, we get these really amazing shots with really great framing, like with burning fire around him, or like Kong staring through the hole of the helicopter at Samuel Jackson. But from this point on in the movie, at the very start, Samuel Jackson is now like hell-bent on killing Kong because he saw it like kill like whatever fucking 28 of his men, however much.
I mean, not only that, but it's also this idea of we're introduced to Samuel L. Jackson as a general who's extremely pissed that the war in Vietnam is ending because he thinks it's not a win. I mean, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
he doesn't have a purpose. And so as
Mhm.
soon as he gets this call to go to the island, he literally thanks the general for letting him go on this last mission.
Mhm.
And so seeing Kong kill his men like that finally gives him a purpose and gives him something that he feels like he can, a new enemy he can take down now.
Yeah.
And so through this movie, I remember us saying a lot of things about, if this wasn't a King Kong movie, it would still be interesting. And I think we should kind of explore that a little bit because there were a lot
Mhm.
of other creatures in this movie that weren't just Kong. I'll say, honestly, we probably didn't see him a huge amount.
No, I mean, I think it works in its favor that we didn't see Kong a lot because Skull
Mhm.
Island is just extremely interesting.
Yeah.
And I think what especially helps is in the time we don't see Kong, we get to shift our view on him because we're introduced to him and he wreaks havoc. He kills a maybe not a large majority, but a clear majority of this platoon.
Yeah.
And
They
he's
only get away
automatically
because they run in fear.
the enemy. And then as we continue learning more and more, especially through the indigenous tribe, we learn that ultimately Kong is one of the nicer forces that are on the island, and he's a part of this ecosystem where he keeps much worse monsters at check.
Mhm.
And that really works because we had been so disconnected with Kong, where we only have one idea of what he is. And then we have one group that learns the truth, the scientist group. And then we have the platoon group that's still stuck in their gung ho mindset. And when they come together and that's conflicted, it just works really well.
This is very much a like he's a mercenary, but he's a mercenary that uses the money to buy like medicine for kids. Like, like
Yeah.
it's but I think like you could totally make a movie about, just Journey to the Mysterious Island type movie
Mhm.
with this island here because we see like huge water buffalo, we see like
Mhm.
bamboo forests. There's opportunity for you to go into like World War II stuff or kind of the things that Lost went into the TV show where it was
Mhm.
just things went to this island and disappeared over time. Um, this island presents a lot of things, a really interesting world and landscape that I think you could dive deeper into. And if they ever wanted to, I 100% think that they could do a like returning to Skull Island kind of thing.
They could do Return to Skull Island. I will say though, we've gotten bigger and bigger in the scale of the MonsterVerse. Godzilla versus Kong, that was traveling all over the world, basically just like a worldwide boxing match between the two. I watched it like it was a boxing match. It was awesome. I lost a lot of money. Um, and then this new one, I think, is set like we talked a little bit about, or in this movie, there's a lot of talk about the center of the earth because there's this quote unquote hollow earth theory
Mhm.
stating that there's a different ecosystem underground full of giants, and that's likely where like Kong like apes are.
Yeah, it's a Gartha dude. Shout out.
Mhm. And Skull Island is just a port, a one of the only places where the hollow earth
Yeah,
reaches the
an
surface.
opening. Yeah, it's a transport point.
Um, and in Godzilla X Kong, which is a dumb name for the second collaboration between them in that series. I don't like it, but
The next
they
album's better.
the majority of the film of what I've seen from previews takes place in that hollow earth. So now that we've gone into literally a completely different world, to return the Skull Island might be difficult because this is a thing that every franchise has. It's so hard to lower the stakes.
Hmm. One thing that I think we should talk about like the art direction a little bit in this
Mhm.
movie. Immediately, one of the first things that we both recognized was the like strong personality that the Vietnam War brought along with
Oh
it.
yeah.
That helped this movie so much. It answered like all of the immediate, whatever monster movie questions that you normally have, like why how'd the army get here so fast? Like why does the army care? Like why are we doing
Mhm.
this kind of stuff? It was all immediately answered by it's the end of the Vietnam War. That's why we have these resources. This guy's desperate for another mission, and John Goodman has just been pestering this senator for years.
I
And
what
so
I
in the first 20 minutes, we have all of those, generic, like, what the fuck are we doing? Why? Questions answered, and they're answered in like a good,
Mhm.
reasonable way that makes sense for the world. And I think it did it really well and helped this movie not feel campy at all.
No, I mean, One of the best examples of that comes for when John Goodman is like really like trying to get that guy to do it, and he's like, "There's no chance I'm going to let you do this expedition. There's just nothing." And then John Goodman says, "But what if the Soviets get it first?" And the senators are immediately like, "You have a contract."
Like, I think that this movie. What would you say the biggest flaw is in Skull Island?
I think the biggest flaw in Skull Island, as we've talked before, is sort of too many characters. And it isn't necessarily maybe too many. It's just that there are some characters you could attach to others. Like if the two scientist characters and Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson's character combined, that would solve most of the issues, because then we have Samuel L. Jackson's character, which we understand, hellbent war guy. We have John Goodman's character, we understand, where he's like this evil scientist. We have the platoon members, which most of the big four are pretty, honestly, like maybe not super developed, besides Cole and the guy with a daughter.
Yeah,
But
they're developed in the sense that we know like one or two more details about their life beforehand. Like that's really it.
Yeah, but I think honestly, character might be the worst element of this. I couldn't think of anything else, just because maybe the plot is a little basic, but it serves itself really well because it lends itself to be more focused on the cinematography when the fights are happening, the action, even just like the landscape and the vibes. The Vietnam vibe just carries.
You know, the vibes on Skull Island, immaculate, fucking great. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Like I'll say maybe not the characters themselves, but they never had any sort of development really. Besides, you know, at the most, like Samuel L. Jackson kind of gave up killing Kong, but only because there was like a bigger fish. Um, and so like fucking what's his name? Loki, whatever.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Tom Hiddleston, we start the movie with, you know, soldier of fortune. He has to go seek his fortune. Doesn't know really what he wants in the world. We end the movie with he's in the exact same place. He's just slightly more, I guess, courageous, maybe. But we already kind of knew that when he started. You know
what?
really
He found something.
Yeah, like there was nothing that we gained. There was almost zero change throughout the characters, beside from like, holy shit, these monsters are real. One thing I really appreciated though was there was no love plot hammered into the movie anywhere, and they had opportunity to.
Yeah.
Because that World War II veteran was talking about how much he missed his wife. He hadn't seen her in years, and we just see a little scene with them at the end, and that's all we needed. There was no Brie Larson, Tom Hiddleston love plot. There was no those two biologists love plot. There was nothing else muddying the water in this movie.
Doesn't it feel like it was in the like shooting schedule, but they just cut it in editing?
This movie definitely, it wouldn't surprise me at all for them to be putting a love plot into this movie, because, you know, it is a King Kong movie. There's always a, you know, Kong cares about lady fucking plot in the movie. But that wasn't white woman. There was an element in that movie, in this movie, where Kong randomly started caring about Brie Larson and like protecting her in the middle of a fight, but it was such a throwaway thing. It isn't really a problem.
And she got put inside of big skull thing's mouth for a little bit. So like, you know, it was still funny and fun.
Yeah, it was all right. And he looked all concerned. Like the facial animation was great. But they knew exactly what this movie was. They didn't walk into it thinking, okay, guys, we're going to make the best piece of cinema it's ever made. They walked in knowing we want to make a huge monster flick. People want to see monsters fighting, and people want to see big creatures. And so they delivered exactly on that. And I think this movie just did really well because they knew what they were.
I think this is always sort of like what I think about is you want the cool thing. Because when I'm writing, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about this cool thing, but now I have to write how I got there, and it has to be justified. It has to make sense. This movie does very well with all of that, with all of its characters. It feels all deserving. One of the best elements it does in this is the idea of, okay, well, if we gave an American World War II veteran a katana, that would be fucking sick. And then the immediate question is like, okay, well, how do we do that and not make it like weird that he has that?
Yeah.
And the immediate answer is, well, obviously he really loves his Japanese brother that he got stuck on the island with,
Yeah.
and he
That
learned so
literal
much from
brother.
him.
But he's like a
That, yeah,
bro. Yeah.
that I think was one of the most touching moments of the film, just talking about like how they had grown. Like, we never see him because we're led to believe he died,
Mm.
but just the idea of him growing with this Japanese soldier, which he got stuck on the island with, and
Yeah.
then learning from, and then they even come together to build a ship out of their crashed planes. It means so much, I guess, in subtext.
There could have been yeah, there could have been a movie about that soldier's whole story, I think, alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ever did a Skull Island prequel, I'd love to see more about that guy. I think that'd be great. But like in one thing in watching the movie that I didn't really enjoy in more like
Mm-hmm.
the kind of technical aspects of it, in let's go back to that scene where Kong's fighting all the people with the helicopters at the very beginning. We go in this with the very Vietnam music blasting through the radio. It's all we can hear. It's very monumentous. It's a lot of energy. It's fun. They're all smiling, and then the music cuts out and we see a tree launching like up into the
Oh.
helicopter in slow motion. They knew exactly when to respect the music, when to pull it out, because when they did take the music out and it was just quiet, there was a very heavy weight to the
Yes.
whole scene and what was happening. And in a lot of Kong's movements and a lot of like him throwing the plane or like jumping down or something, you could a lot of the time feel the weight of his character like in the environment very well. But one
Mm-hmm.
thing that they kind of more failed on, I'll say, but you're not necessarily paying attention to it in this type of movie, is the audio
Mm-hmm.
design, in that it
Oh
did
yeah.
Kong himself felt like he had a lot of weight and stuff in the helicopters. But in later on scenes, like when he's fighting the giant skullcrawler with that big boat chain, when he's moving the chain around, it sounds just like a little wimpy bike chain, like in a
Mm-hmm.
room, and that's it. It's a really flat noise. There's nothing else to it, and it's just underdeveloped, and that's heard a lot throughout this movie. But like I said, you're not paying attention to the sound of the chain when you're like watching it. You're like, holy shit, Kong's gonna kick that guy's ass. So it's more just kind of a me thing, I guess, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still something that I think to consider.
I think that's fair. That scene overall, it's so weird because it's one of the best done overall, just because you're immediately like amazed by what you're seeing. It takes you so off guard.
Yeah,
But
it's a spectacle for sure.
But what we had noticed was it kept changing the lighting during that scene because they really wanted sunset/sunrise shots during this. So there was such an emphasis on that red sun on the horizon and
Yeah, I think
Kong
it was like
silhouetted.
it was sunrise, then sunset, and then sunrise again, then it was midday.
Yeah, it just kept changing which one
Yeah.
it was, and that's, I mean, I would prefer consistency, but at the same time, all of those sunset shots were like beautiful. There's a few of them, and there's also a lot of shots where there's just like somebody surrounded in fire. There's maybe
Yeah.
some of the best shots are maybe repeated a lot, but I'm going to be honest, I'm glad they kept repeating it because it was always cool.
Yeah, there was no point in this movie where I got to turn, my foot's falling asleep. There was no point in this movie where I felt like, okay, I'm tired of seeing this, or I'm tired of seeing Kong do that, or this type of action. There was a constant, freshness to all of the fighting, even though at the end of the day, it was monkey swing thing, hit the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was always interesting to see. The choreography of the fights was done very well. Like I said, nothing in this movie gave me, like creature feature vibes, I guess. It was a very, I'll say, the most down to earth kind of Kong movie you can have, because it felt very real to me. It didn't feel like, oh, there's a big monkey. Whoa.
Yeah, that is fair. I think everything about the monsters was incredibly well done. What were they called? Skull crushers? No,
Yeah, the
skull crawlers.
skull crawlers. Yeah.
Skull crawlers were incredible, especially the idea of that's not even the big one, because
Mhm.
the large, I guess, mother skull crawler was incredibly intimidating, and the design on them just looks horrifying. It's some mix between a snake and like a Komodo dragon, but with a bird beak skull for a head.
Mhm.
It's in their tongue. It just is. It's so well done in that design, and then we even have the bamboo ants or whatever those are, and we have the
Spiders,
huge
yeah.
and we have the water buffalo, and everything about it is just beautiful because this is I never thought the CG was horrible. There are some parts where the environment maybe doesn't look good, but they put a lot of effort into the monsters at least.
Yeah, the green screen at certain points didn't look fantastic, but that's understandable when the budget went to, huge like Kong pulling an octopus out of the water and it like writhing and still moving. Like I just watching that scene, I couldn't imagine just how much, manpower and how much money just went into animating those stupid fucking tentacles moving right when Kong picked them up out of the water.
It's
Um,
mhm. uh, this movie was a spectacle. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, and there was a lot of really artsy camera work. I know we kind of touched on it here and there. There was really fantastic framing, and then that one scene when they are fighting one of the larger skull crawlers. Remember, it eats John Goodman, and then this is the point where we realize, oh fuck, okay, no one's safe in this movie. He eats John Goodman, and John Goodman's in the middle of taking a picture, and his flash just keeps going. So once he eats him, we just see this camera flash in the fog in the distance with our main characters like in a circle, basically with backs to each other, just waiting for it to charge at them. And it just builds this amazing tension in the scene. You just see the flash every once in a while just glimmer through the fog. It's amazingly well done scene, and it feels like a great horror like aspect in this movie that I didn't expect at all, and I'm really happy that they included it somehow.
That is by far one of the best deaths that happens in this, just because not only is it like shocking in the moment, but it serves a great thematic moment, and it just establishes, okay, that's how you see the thing. What do you think is your least favorite death in this film, Nick?
Oh, dude. So there's this character named Cole that we have. He's one of the soldier guys that's going through. Cole is a killing machine. He was bred to kill. His mom told him like the story of the lion and the mouse, where the mouse takes a thorn out of his foot, but instead of becoming friends, Cole's mom told him that the mouse kills the lion with the thorn. And like, God, Cole is just in the situation right after they get murdered by all the Kong and all the helicopters. He's like, you know what? We did the best we could in this situation. We just were tactically disadvantaged. And, Cole was my man. He was the shit. And then he went to sacrifice himself for the greater good to save the group in front of the big skull crawler. He gets 2 bandoliers of grenades, pops the pins on 2, starts walking towards the skull crawler, arms out, saying, come on, come at me, eat me. And then the skull crawler whips around, hits him with the tail. Cole goes fucking flying into the goddamn mountain that's on the side. It does nothing. It means nothing for the movie. Cole's fucking dead. My heart is broken, and I wasn't the same after that. It was horrible.
It's so good. It's so obviously okay. So Cole is sort of characterized as maybe desensitized to war, maybe a war machine, but also he's a little bit wise because he goes and he talks to Samuel L. Jackson. And he goes, sometimes there's not an enemy until you go looking for one, because everybody knows that he's like weirdly hell bent on killing Kong. He's such a good, complex character, and he just serves this environment incredibly well. And it's like, oh, he's finally getting his moment because Cole deserves it. Cole's awesome. And then it's like this dumb fucking gag, but it's awesome. I love it just because.
It's so well timed. There's such good build up to it. If anything, Cole we have the most characterization out of him, out of all of the other army soldiers that we see. And it's little things like that where, the character Cole was so, introspective and like smart and said some really fucking like wise ass lines he just dropped. Like he was the fucking, the like spiritual leader in Kung Fu Panda 4. It's just really impressive to see that in Kong Skull Island. It's not anything I expected at all. But what's your most favorite scene, do you think? Because I've changed mine.
I think that beginning scene with Kong is one of my favorites, but along with that, I'd have to go maybe with that ending fight, specifically when we start dealing with Kong, I guess using tools, because he starts using chains that are attached on the ship, and he starts attacking with that. And we were just amazed with how he was using it, because he threw this propeller attached to the chain right at him. And when it grappled onto him and broke through his skin, it was incredible.
It was like Scorpion from fucking Mortal Kombat. It was sick.
And then the end of that fight happens when the the giant skull crawler tries to eat his hand that has Brie Larson in it. And instead of being like, I'm just going to leave my hand out, what he does is he also grabs onto the insides of the skull crawler and pulls out his entire nervous and entire nervous system, entire intestine
Yeah,
system.
he just guts the thing
He
in one
cuts
move.
it. It's incredible. It was like, because there's no severity, there's no gore when it came to the monsters usually. They just sort of died from bullets or something like that.
Mhm.
But this sort of showed how like gruesome we can be even to monsters. And I just love that. But I still think it goes to I would still say it goes to the beginning scene with Kong, but this is very close.
That's fair. I think my favorite scene is gonna be that camera flash scene with the skull crawler in the fog. Just with John Goodman's death, it was really well done and well timed. It was funny. It was unexpected. I thought he was safe. It's just really well done scene with a really artsy horror element that I didn't expect at all.
Yeah.
But that's really all I have to say. If you're ready to rate it,
Well, I'm ready as I'll ever be, I guess.
well, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. It's pretty enjoyable. Okay, sound design, needed some help. Really good monster flick. The first one that I've seen. I hope the others are as good, but I don't have a lot of hope.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. There's obviously some elements, I guess, when it comes to character where it could have been more well done. But at the end of the day, I'm walking into this movie and I'm really thinking, what kind of cool shit can I see? And this has some of the coolest shit I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Legitimately, this is just such a well done version of Kong, it seems. And I'm obviously not somebody that has like a jurisdiction or an authority on that topic, but I really enjoy how they depicted Kong in that story, and it all felt really unique and creative.
Much better than the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie.
That doesn't narrow it. Oh, Rampage?
Yeah.
I'm never going to watch Rampage.
Yeah, it was, he wanted to make a Kong movie, but they couldn't say Kong. But yeah, so those are our ratings. After this little ag segment, we're getting to movie news. Here at WAM, we use this podcast as an artful avenue to blissfully and peacefully vent our fiery, unbridled rage buried deep, deep down. And now you can too.
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you will always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable.
If you thought about podcasting before and you realize that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code WAM and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan.
We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
The headlines.
Hope you enjoyed that little ad segment there. We just cooked that one up right for you. Hope you enjoy it. Peter.
Patrick Warburton, please leave WAM Studios. We do not allow you on set.
We've had 3 restraining orders. Please get away. I just can't stay away. You know me.
Okay, so Patrick, you're welcome to stay for movie news if you want. We have a few interesting little segments that are connected. And that's incredibly connected, but we have 3 interviews that had their own little scoops with them. One of the first ones was Sam Raimi in an interview talked about how there are rumors going around that he's in talks to direct Spider-Man 4, but he officially says that there has been no work on it. He would love to do Spider-Man 4, but Sony has not reached out to him with any ideas or any wish to start those projects.
Aw, that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird for Sony, which is still very obsessed with telling Spider-Man to not try it. I mean, I think it's a little respectable. I think Spider-Man 4 would have to be done very well if it deserved to happen. And with Sony right now, I don't think they could deliver. Maybe they're just admitting, no, we'd ruin it. So let's just not even try.
Let's just leave it alone. Let's not do it. It's all right.
Along with this, he did say he would love if Marvel talked to him about directing Avengers Secret Wars. And just get out of there, Sam.
Yeah, at this point, just run away. It's okay.
Like
anything he does, though, I'll watch. So it's okay.
Yeah, everything he does is very good. But at the same time, Marvel's sort of sinking ship right now, and Avengers is probably where it's going to all culminate because none of these characters have really landed with audiences, and now you're expecting to make an Avengers series for them. Wait. Sorry.
Is it an Avengers series with the with our new cast of people?
Yeah, it would essentially. I mean, it would still have Spider-Man, maybe Star-Lord, and other characters that are
essentially they're trying to push the new guys.
Yeah, Avengers Secret Wars at the end of the day would be one cameo fest because you bring in all these different universe stuff, but it would also be trying to ham fist these new characters and make sure you think, okay, this is part of the team.
I mean, no, it wasn't Secret Wars, I guess, but in the comics, it was Secret Wars and then something else after it. I think with Galactus, that was the big reset into the Ultimate Universe.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
Maybe they want to do something like that. I could totally see that. That would be great. That'd be a great move for them. But box office wise, I don't think they're going to do it because the common person is going to be like, "What the fuck? We restarted."
If they were incredibly smart, they would do what happens in the comics in Secret Wars, where it's heavily focused on the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. Those are obviously going to be your heavy hitters going into it because those are good household names. You got a stacked cast for that. And it is exactly what happens in the comics where, yeah, you have all these characters fighting, but in the background, you have the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom trying to settle it just like formally. If that happened in that movie, that could save it. But let's be honest here. When's the last time a Marvel movie has been comic accurate?
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens in the next 5 or so years with the whole movie industry because we've been so, superhero brained basically for those big huge superhero blockbuster movies for years now. And now that Marvel's finally, kind of toppling on their throne here, I'm excited to see what that opens the door to in the theaters.
Along with that, in the we have 2 segments on Civil War because they're doing their press tour right now. Connected to Sam Raimi, Kirsten Dunst announced that she would have loved to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, except they never invited her.
Sucks.
I mean, I can get because they didn't ask Emma Stone either, but her character was dead. But like you portray Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as he being happy with MJ and having not settled down, but definitely found like his calling. If you wanted to add Kirsten Dunst into that just for a quick thing, you maybe could have.
Yeah, you could. You could have just walked on set for a day. It's really all you needed.
I think the big thing there is there's such a big thing about how MJ is different in that. In fact, the only character that repeated itself is Spider-Man in these Spider-Man movies. There was never like, oh, well, now there's 2 octopuses. Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know.
They always try to do something different than the other, but in doing that, then they never changed Spider-Man himself.
I think that's fair. I don't know. And then I guess attached to that, Alex Garland, the director of Civil War, said in an interview that he has lost his love for directing and he will stop making movies.
Yeah, if I made fucking Civil War, I think I would too.
Well, I'm going to defend Civil War. It was a decent movie. The big thing is that every supplemental thing to that movie blows chunks. The maps they released about the information on it suck. The press tours that Alex Garland has done, especially with this last interview, have ruined it because you're giving information that's not in the movie, is not needed in the movie, and ultimately just hurts the core message.
Yeah. I'm not going to ever watch Civil War, but is it a like, oh, there's a bigger message to this movie kind of feel? Because if it is, that's stupid. I don't like it.
I maybe some people thought it was. There's like a ton of interviews where people are like, "This is such a a warning about what could happen in America." I really just saw it as a very interesting story where we take the reality of war journalism that we see in other countries and we juxtapose it with how it is, or just with an American background. If you're really just focused on war journalism, I think it's really well done. Sound design is incredible. Cinematography is incredible. Pacing is incredible. And Jesse Plemons is in it.
That's so true. I love Jesse Plemons. That's fair.
No, but besides that, other movies to look forward to. We have Monkey Man coming out this Friday.
Yeah. Monkey.
I know you're really excited for it.
Woo.
Well, don't get too excited. God fucking damn
wait. All right, it's okay. Calm down.
Patrick, please. You can sit in, but you know.
Yeah, Patrick, just try not to talk, right? My bad.
Monkey Man is getting some good views. He's been going on a lot of Dev Patel has been going on a lot of different circuits and doing interviews, and people are sort of saying that they're really liking how kind he is. I think this is maybe just like another Keanu Reeves thing. There are elements that they take from John Wick a little bit in this. I wouldn't be surprised if that's their like go-to marketing comparison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% see them going, this is the Indian John Wick. And that, like, I can totally see that in big bold letters on the screen. That's what they did with Nobody. It was just, this is like the people's John Wick or something. They put John Wick all over the advertising of that.
Yeah, that had a lot of John Wick producers on it as
a lot
well.
Of people from it, but yeah.
Was did you watch Nobody?
I did. I liked it a lot.
Okay, I still need to watch it. I've heard it's good.
It was very good. It was a very good little action movie. And they're making another one.
Nice. I've heard it's a very pro-murder movie. Whatever that means.
I wouldn't say that, but you know. Nobody, right?
Yeah. Some good news for anybody who's I guess a fan of Adult Swim. Smiling Friends had its first episode come out on Adult Swim on midnight April 1st, but halfway through the first episode they cut to the entire first season but done by puppets.
It's pretty good.
It's a good April Fool's bit, and then after that was done, they just went ahead and showed the full season 2 episode 1. I saw the puppet bit. I saw the first episode. Smiling Friends has been one of my favorite new adult shows, mostly because I've become a little disinterested in Rick and Morty as it continues going. I don't like the format as much as I used to. And I think Smiling Friends is just immediately just like incredibly creative and a fresh start to that sort of industry.
Yeah, Smiling Friends is a very like it's a very modern take without, going like, "Hi, look, you guys are so stupid, fucking idiots." Because that's very Rick and Morty. It's like, "Oh yeah, look at this is your culture. We're shitting on you." Funny? Yeah, this is an episode about writers.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I don't, because Smiling Friends doesn't really have. What would you think is a comparison to Smiling Friends? Have we seen this archetype before?
I mean, it's whatever X amount of characters running a business, and then they get up to shenanigans when running that business, which can be put into a lot of different shoes.
I guess you're right.
I'm sure there has been. We're just not familiar. I mean, like we can honestly say Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers, yeah, I can totally see what you mean with Bob's Burgers.
It's just not as developed, but I'd like season 1, 100%.
Dude, you're right. This is Bob's Burgers. Okay, yeah. That's good to keep in mind. And then, oh yeah, we watched this movie because we didn't want to pay to watch Godzilla X Kong in a theater.
Yeah.
But they did have a very good opening weekend even without us, because they ended up getting
surprising.
They got a $194 million worldwide for their worldwide opening, which is it's pretty good.
Not bad.
I don't know what to compare it to, though. I forgot what the budget was and like what is considered a good opening weekend anymore.
Yeah, I think for opening weekend, they generally want at least 50% of it. It's either 50 or 60% of the cost they want made up the first night.
Okay.
And then if not, then they're nervous at that point because then after opening night, your sales are going down slowly.
You're right. And then I think they always judge if you get that percentage, and then the biggest other factor is seeing the next weekend drop. Mm-hmm. Usually if they say if there's a drop more than about 50%, then you're done for, really. But if it's anywhere above 50%, then you have people who are like telling friends, you should go watch this weekend. And there are people maybe even returning to theaters. And it's such a big idea of your word of mouth is doing very good. And it's probably a sign that people are liking this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But, good for Godzilla and Kong. I'm glad they finally tied the knot. They seem happy together.
I mean, yeah, I really didn't think it would work, but after that season of Love Island, I think they really kind of ironed it out.
Yeah, love is love.
Love is love, man. It's beautiful. But, do you have any more news?
We have something pretty fresh off the shelves. This is probably the last one. Joker 2 just got its official trailer. Reminder to everyone, Joker 2 is a musical.
Yeah, don't know how that's going to go.
And they left little musical tones inside of that little snippet. And honestly, after hearing it, what I'm thinking is this is either going to be like really, really good in a strange way, or it's going to be such a shit show that it's going to be great for me.
I think, it being a musical, they have now the opportunity of it being a fucking masterpiece of people going, oh my God, why haven't we done this before? Mm-hmm. Or they're just going to go, holy shit, what the fuck did they just cook up? Goddamn, let this out of the room, put it back. And there's no in between. Like, there's no way it can be like, yeah, that was okay. Like, you can't.
I think I'm a big fan of people who go for Gremlins method of sequels, because the director of Gremlins was like, fuck, they're really making me do a Gremlins 2? Okay, then I'm going to make it balls to the wall. I'm going to do whatever I want. It's going to make no sense. That's just what we're going to do. And
I miss the sequels where it's just like, all right, guys, now we're going to go fucking insane with it. Like, sequels don't do that anymore. They play it so safe. I want the sequels that like, okay, yeah, now fucking Bugs Bunny is topless in fucking... I was going to say LaGuardia, and that was the first thing I thought of.
In LaGuardia Airport?
Yeah. Yep, that's it. That's the bit. That's it.
Long Island's pissed.
We gotta get the fuck out of here.
But not through LaGuardia.
No.
I mean, we had... the only one I can remember nowadays is another, I guess, children's movie, or at least targeted towards children. Do you remember what the tagline for Surf's Up 2 was?
Oh, wasn't that WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turned a surfing movie into WWE. Incredible Great decision. Move. Now, amazing. Did we watch it? No.
We thought about it real hard, though. Let me tell you, we have watched Wizard So-So many times, though, which is pretty surprising.
Fuck, I forgot about Wizard So-So.
Yeah, so did I until just now. If you got time, go look up Wizard So-So. For the people in our video format, you can take a look. I'll put a little clip of it here.
Wizard So-So Fun Magical Adventures.
It's so good. It's on Amazon for free. Anyone can go see it, so I really encourage you to. And Ratatouille is another good one. Love on a Leash, that's good.
Oh, Love on a Leash. We got into that because of Ralph the Movie Maker, because he reviewed that, and just our friend group got obsessed with Love on a Leash. It was great. Why is everything in this house green?
Dude, we should review Love on a Leash.
I'm okay with reviewing Love on a Leash. I'd love to.
God, yeah. Do you have any more movie news, or is that it?
Yeah, George Lucas is now the richest celebrity with $5 billion, and it was all my money that he stole while playing dice.
Dude, what a bitch.
Yeah, that's all movie news. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Not George Lucas. Good on him.
Well, here's the thing. If I just keep If I just keep daring him to play dice, one day I'll win back all the money.
You're right. If I just keep gambling, I have to win.
The chances are in my
99%
favor.
of gamblers stop right before they hit it big.
I can't be a 99%. I have to be the elite 1%.
You gotta win. With that note and the helpful life advice, this has been WAM, episode 34. We hope you enjoyed. Make sure to go to our YouTube channel by following the link tree in the podcast description, where you can find where we post all of our WAM episodes with video format and just our other platforms that we post to, our Instagram, Twitter, everything like that.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed. This has been WAM.
And you've been whammed.
We'll see you guys next week for Spider-Man 1.
No, it's an audio only podcast. So, you will listen to you.
I'll sense your aura.